When the pension freedoms were announced back in March 2014, the appeal of discretionary bypass trusts, commonly referred to as spousal bypass trust, was dramatically reduced. The new rules meant that you could leave your defined pension contribution to your dependents, other than just your spouse, and they could draw an income. So why would anyone still want to use a bypass trust? Well, to answer that, we need to first look at what can and can't be done when passing on funds within a pension. Current legislation allows you, the pension member, to nominate any individual, trust or entity to receive your remaining pension funds on your death, subject to the pension scheme rules. Under most defined contribution pensions, the scheme administrator will use their discretion when deciding who should receive the funds. In most instances, this means the funds will remain outside of your estate and no inheritance tax will be payable. Your pension scheme administrator should consider any nominations that you've made, as well as any dependents, whether you have nominated them to receive your pension benefits or not. If the decision is to pay funds to your dependents or someone else that you've nominated, rather than to a trust or other entity such as a charity, that individual will then have the choice of how to take the benefits. Most defined contribution schemes will offer the option of a lump sum payment, maybe purchase an annuity, or using the funds for your beneficiaries' Flexi access drawdown. Even if your scheme doesn't have the facility to offer drawdown itself, the rules state that your beneficiary can transfer your pension benefits to a scheme that does offer Flexi access drawdown. The important point to note here is that it's down to the individual beneficiary themselves to decide how to take the inherited funds. This is not something that you can dictate when making your nomination or by leaving an expression of wish. It's also good to know what happens when your beneficiary dies. If your beneficiary has chosen the Flexi Access drawdown option and there are still funds remaining on their death, it becomes their choice as to who to nominate to receive the benefits when they're gone. Again, this is subject to the scheme administrator rules and discretion. As the original scheme member who built up the pension funds, you've got no say as to where they go. So when might this be an issue? Well, if you have a straightforward family situation and are leaving funds to beneficiaries that you consider to be responsible, then passing funds on within a pension is likely to be the best option. Funds can remain within the pension tax wrapper to benefit from compound tax-free growth. If you die before age 75, any withdrawals your beneficiaries make will be free of income tax whenever they're taken, even if you die after your 75th birthday, which is the age after which income tax is payable. The withdrawals can be managed by your beneficiaries to minimize their own income tax liability. A discretionary bypass trust may be more appropriate if you have complicated family arrangements, or maybe you want to provide for people without giving them an immediate access to a large sum of money. Let me explore how a discretionary bypass trust could help. By nominating the discretionary trust to receive your death benefits, instead of nominating an individual directly, you have more control. You can choose the trustees and give them instructions on how the funds within the trust should be distributed. Let me give you a couple of examples. The first is where you are married maybe for a second time. You've got adult children from your first marriage and are on your second marriage at the time of your death. You have stepchildren from this marriage, and you nominate your second spouse to receive the death benefits. Under a pension, when the survivor dies, in this case your second wife, they will get to choose who gets any funds remaining in your pension that they've inherited from you. They may well choose their own children over your adult children from your first marriage, who would then get nothing. It could also be that your second wife marries again and leaves the funds to their new spouse. If a bypass trust was used instead, you could instruct the trustees to provide an income for your second wife in their lifetime, with any residual funds going to your adult children on your second wife's death. The second example I've got is where a beneficiary needs protecting. So let's assume that you want to leave a pension fund to provide for a beneficiary, but are reluctant to give them access to a large sum of money in one go. This could be maybe for younger beneficiaries, or for those who lack capacity, or even for those who have a history of money problems. By using a bypass trust, an income could be provided for these kinds of beneficiaries, or they could receive ad hoc payments for specific purposes that you've set out, or at the trustee's discretion. Under a pension, there is simply not this option. The beneficiary has complete access to the funds or not at all. When it comes to tax efficiency, keeping funds within the pension fund will always be the best option. Setting up a bypass trust will cost you a small amount of money, but you are paying for the extra control the trust gives you over your pension funds. Aside from these costs, other costs may be incurred when you set up the trust or at regular intervals, as well as the ongoing costs to administer the trust. If you take a look at my other video, Tax and the Other Charges of a Spousal or Discretionary Bypass Trust for Defined Benefit Pensions, for details on the complex charges and tax implications. Whether it is a cost worth paying, the additional charge, it's going to be down to your own circumstances. But if you take a look at that video for a full picture of the pros and cons of setting up a spousal or discretionary bypass trust. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. I'm Justin King. I'm a chartered and certified financial planner, and my aim is to help people live successful lives. That often involves understanding your money. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please press the like button to help more people like you find my channel. And for now, I'm Justin King, helping you live your best life.